clearly we will be moving in the state parliament to oppose it. Now, I mean, they put forward legislation which makes the super rich billionaire penthouse owners pay half and everyone else in the high rises pay double. So we're dealing with the government and it's not exactly sensitive to the wishes of the people, right? But what we can do is present those arguments to the people with aggression. They've taken even our computers, first state members had their computers removed. They've done everything to try and silence us. Well, we're not going to be silenced, and in the next election, you will be brought to account for what you have done to the people in those high-rises over there, and what you intend to do to the people of Australia, not the Gold Coast. The people of Australia own that Broadwater. I don't live at the Gold Coast, although we had a house here for 60 years or something. But I don't live here, but I consider that Broadwater is not only owned by the people of Gold Coast, but all the people of Australia. This is the great tourist resort and destination of this country. There are other great tourist destinations. We'd like to think of North Queensland.
The beaches are owned by Australia. Ocean cruise ships would therefore privatise the Australian country.
No, what we're saying is, and Keith, you might like to reiterate?
Well, the proposal we've put forward is a climate offshore. So what it's going to be is the biggest artificial reef on the Gold Coast, the opportunity for best left and right breaks for surfing wise, and it's tourism infrastructure that we will do it. So we're after a win-win for everybody, no negative environmental impacts.
Yeah, but no loss of beach. Please, we must make that clear. That we are saying no loss of beach. That's why we're standing here and having you people stand in the hot sun, because we want to make it perfectly clear that they are not taking, I mean, they're going to sell all the people's resources, you know, the railways, the hospitals, the schools, they're going to be selling that too. But we want to know, that we want everybody to know that we are tenaciously opposed. The Crown does not own these assets. The people own them, and the Crown has no right to be taking them off us. I make that position perfectly clear. For the beaches, absolutely. This is one of the great recreational facilities that are available to all Australians. And I profoundly believe, even as a North Queenslander, will we compete against you for the tourist dollar, but I profoundly believe that that should happen. Now also we want to make an announcement on the diving.
In terms of the funding, I mean, we've seen arguments between the Mayor and the State Government on funding.
No, sorry Keith, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you. No, I just want to say that we are backing that there are funds put into this. Not talking about the diving.
That's right. That's the best ones. The Coast Australia Party is taking the policy on that we should arrange, lobby for and fund 2 military boats off the Gold Coast. We believe the dive industry is something that has great potential on the coast, and you need to invest in it. And there should be a consideration for a portion of the GST revenue that tourists bring here. And if I put a figure out there of say 10% of 10%, we're talking probably about $35 million a year that would help fund the beaches program, and provide the artificial reefs, the electric drive diving tourism. So we're not just looking at good ideas, we're looking at the method of doing it, and that money will repay itself.
And provide our fishies and all of our marine life with a very agreeable habitat where it has occurred elsewhere.
Well, Julie Gillard's not going to watch the
Oh, well, yeah, look, everybody knows. Kevin and I are very friendly, and I have great respect for Kevin. I don't want to be commenting upon the leadership in another party. I think that would be improper behaviour on my part, but I think everybody knows that we're good friends, and the events of last week, you see a friend get hurt, well, that doesn't make you happy, does it? You know, I never, we'll put about 20 points, I think is probably all of it, and we're not interested, you know, we're sick and tired of everybody seeing this in terms of left and right. We had a chance to do something about protecting you journalists in the media last week. We had a chance of giving you people some protection, which you richly deserve. And because the Liberals wanted a victory, because the Labor Party wanted a victory. We got nothing out of it. There was no putting forward of the people's interest at any stage. I mean, clearly there needs to be a watchdog. Clearly that watchdog needs to be appointed by an objective group of people, not the government. A government watchdog is of its very essence an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms. You know, a government watchdog is a contradiction in terms. That was what the ALP and the other mob were proposing, a corporate lapdog. We continue with a corporate lapdog. Classic example, please. We don't have to do this. We don't have to give our resources away to some foreign billionaires, as is proposed in the Broadwater. We don't have to do this as Australians. Please listen to us. You don't have to keep voting for the ALP LNP Corporation that runs Australia. I mean, it's not a matter of changing the board members of the ALP LNP Corporation. It is a matter of offering the people an alternative that you do not have to sell this nation's assets day after day, week after week, and import workers into here to take our jobs off us as well, which of course is happening under the Labor Party. But Ian Banks is going to have something. Is he here or no?
Yep.
Ian, would you like we just want to round off this discussion.
Just on the votes, just to finish off with, we keep hearing the excuses from both Labor and Liberal governments successively that they can't provide us votes, or they want to scrap them and take the money. But the reality is that if we can't get a vote in Australia, we'll go to the US, and we believe that a battleship or something similar that's had a link to the Korean or Vietnam War would make a great friendship, alliance symbol ongoing, and representing the enduring alliance between the US and Australia. So that's something we intend lobbying for, and hopefully we can achieve it. We have done some research, there are votes available, and we'll have more to say about it in the agreements.
Absolutely. We've already, I think, we were discussing 70 this afternoon. There's already applications for 70 seats in Australia. But over the next 2 or 3 months, on the state experience, we'll get candidates in almost every seat in Australia. We've been down in Victoria, where the party's going like a house on fire. And I mean, all the intelligent commentators are giving us between 4 and 5 senators, and it would be well known that Madigan and I and Xenophon form a very, very strong alliance, always. And that will give us 6 or 7 senators and should give us the balance of power in the Senate. And I can tell you we'll be using that with ruthless brutality to stop the Liberals from selling off their country and bringing workers in to take our jobs out from under us. And I might add that the Liberals were nowhere near as bad as the ALP. The Prime Minister, in a piece of arch hypocrisy, attacked the Liberals. The Liberals were bringing 38,000 a year in. Hey Julia, you brought 125,000 in last year. They are taking the jobs in the mining, the dump truck jobs, where we get paid $100,000. And I can assure you the 457s are not getting paid $100,000. They're undermining our pay and conditions. This is a nice, sneaky way of deregulating the labour market. The ALP has been the leaders in it to their eternal shame and damnation, but I'll bet the Liberals will double that figure when they get in. They'll make up for lost time.
So it's time over your time.
You can have a look at the state figures. You know, we the Greens vote, and a lot of people are so disgusted with the mainstream parties that don't even vote for the Greens. But you know, when they had a genuine alternative that wasn't important to the big corporations, then the Australian people, you know, went in that direction. I mean, if we'd been allowed to use our name, the polling said we were 20%, which would put us pretty close to getting 2 senators up in Queensland, and hence fairly venomous attacks coming upon us from the LNP and the ALP. Ian, over to you. I really want Ian to have to say that, please. We won't hold you much longer, please.
I've just returned from visiting Australia. It's the best big fish short on. Next mountain, I'm down there. Such a great asset. Green line, accumulated in the sea, very special. You might realise that Wildcoast Seaway is Queensland.